Well, guys, this is going to be my first try at voice recording. I have been practicing this like crazy and I'm kind of on my own. So, I know there's fancier ways to do this, but this is the best that I can do as of now. So, with that being said, let's start with the elements of art and principles of design. And I miss you guys so bad. I wish I could see all your beautiful faces right now, but I guess I'm going to sit here and stare at my screen. Hopefully you are too. All right. Here we go. All right. What is visual interest? I know you guys can read, but this is how we're going to do it. Visual interest is a way of combining visual elements to achieve intricate and complex relationships. It is a technique used by artists who wish to create a visual complexity interest. I want you guys to think of it as where you combine visual elements, which the elements of art are line, shape, space, texture, value, color, and form, and they are your ingredients, and you are the chef of your artwork, and you are putting together, mixing all those ingredients at your disposal, and you will create a visual interest using those elements. Recipes are different, just like cakes and foods taste differently because of different spices and mixtures of stuff. That's art. Okay, what is a composition? Composition is a finished body of work. Composition is defined as to compose or arrange for effect. So artists take the visual interest in all those ingredients and they create a composition, just like in music with different instruments. They compose different sounds and bridges and choruses and all that good stuff, just like we do that in art. All right, what are the elements of art? The elements of art are the building blocks used by artists to create work of art. Line. Line is one of them. It's a mark with greater length and width. Lines can be horizontal, vertical, or diagonal, straight or curved, thick or thin. Words to describe line are stroke, mark, precise, hatch, soft, hard, bold, contour, straight, irregular, wispy, continuous, organic, repetitive, jagged, expressive, interrupted, and gradual. So here's some examples. I don't know if you can see my arrow. Oh, snap. Anyway, of line, like literal line. I also have these. So you can see lines in the zigzag line of the staircase and the, not horizontal. What? Oh, snap. I can't think of the word. Anyway, the lines in the staircase, and then you've got the lines on the boardwalk. You've got the lines going back into space on the side railings, the lines of the stadium seating just repeating over and over, and also the line in the ocean of whatever that thing is, but I thought that was a cool picture. So, all right, look, even lines of the rows of chairs are creating a line, the lines of the computers, even the lines that are being created by the pictures that are on the wall and the lights on top, and even the lines of these pipes. So lines are everywhere. All right, so now we have shape and form. So you have shape is a closed line. Shapes can be geometric or organic, and shapes are two-dimensional. And then you have forms, which are 3D shapes expressing length, width, and depth. So if you see the fire hydrant, you have the shape of the fire hydrant to the right, but you have the form to the left because you can see how it is more three-dimensional with the shadows and stuff. To make this more clear, I have some examples here. The shape of the dice, the shape of the frog and the shark fin and the rocks. But in this picture, the dice are now formed. They're three-dimensional. The frog is three-dimensional. The shark is three-dimensional. And because of the color of the rocks and the value that you see, those now look three-dimensional. So those are form. We have space. Space is the area between and around objects. The space around objects is often called negative space. Space can also refer to the feeling of depth. So if you look at the space of, this is a Ben Guthrie, I think this photo is from his sister. There's space on his face being used, but what you're really seeing is that it's zoomed in and there's this space to the left of his face, which is the negative space. Like, why is he zoomed in and there's that space left over on the left? That's actually really interesting. The food in the middle, there's all that space left on the plate. That doesn't look very appealing to me. I mean, I'm ready for some steak and potatoes. What kind of food is that? Anyway, but that's fancy, and people pay big bucks, big bucks for meals like that. And then with the ram, you see the traditional positive and negative space project that I'm sure you've seen before with the black and the white versus the ram itself. And then the space with those windmills, it's giving you a sense of depth because the space, they're bigger up front and then they get smaller and smaller to show depth. And then we have color. Color is light reflected off of objects. Color has three main characteristics: hue, which is the name of the color, value, how light or dark it is, and intensity, how bright or dull it is. So you guys should know value. Remember, I took that picture of the fall leaves in color, and then we transferred it to black and white, and how the darker leaves look darker and the lighter leaves look lighter. So that's how light and dark colors can be. But the intensity is if it's bright or dull. So sometimes in Instagram, when you guys put filters, you can intensify color. So that would be an example of how colors can be made to be more intense. And then last, for the elements of art, we have texture. Texture is the surface quality that can be seen and felt. Textures can be rough or smooth, soft or hard. So here's some pictures of textures of leafy greens and those nasty looking, whatever those things are on that plate. And the texture on Zach Kinsilla's face, if you remember him from a couple years ago. The texture from Vincent van Gogh's artwork with the texture of all the sky and the swirling stars, and then just even textures on, I think those are blackberries, I don't know, but like, look at them. It's just, you can even see the little hairs on it. It's so cool. Anywho, okay, so now moving on to the principles of design. Okay, so this is new. The principles of design describe the ways that artists use the elements of art in a work of art. So maybe we could go back to the cooking thing and think of, if we're cooking, we could say it's dense or moist, or this is spicy or something. So the elements is the way that you explain the elements of design. Elements of art. Okay, we have balance. Balance is the distribution of the visual weight of objects, colors, texture, and space. If the design was a scale, these elements should be balanced to make a design feel stable. So the arch is balanced. The photo in the middle is balanced because the trees are kind of balancing it out. And that famous painting to the right is balanced with the arch, and the people are balanced with the weight. So if you cut a line down the middle, it would seem balanced. Now there's something that photographers use and artists who are creating composition called the rule of thirds. And that's when one breaks a frame into thirds vertically and horizontally to create a more balanced piece of art. So sometimes balance is it's always attractive, but sometimes you can't have something be perfectly symmetrical. So if you look at the picture of the trees, that thick, heavy tree to the left is kind of in the third position, and that hedge of trees, of those bushes, is in a third going from bottom to top. So that would be very balanced rule of thirds. Same with the cup sitting right there. Same with that rock in the black and white picture, and the horizon line, and you can see an excellent example of how it works with the surfer picture. Now, you also have symmetrical balance and asymmetrical balance. So symmetrical is the way you see the top two, and the asymmetrical balance is on the bottom two that you'll see. Then you have emphasis. Emphasis is the part of the design that catches the viewer's attention. Usually the artist will make one area stand out by contrasting it with others. Now, I want you guys to think of when Taylor Swift kind of went through her phase where she always wore red lipstick, and she emphasized that even on her cover, red, and she always had the red lipstick, like she was emphasized the lips, and she was kind of known for that. Or think about you wearing, when you guys go to the JSB or homecoming, you wear a very simple tux, but you have an emphasis on your bow tie with a pop of color, or the little scarf thing that you put in the pocket. What's that thing called? I don't know. Or girls, you might wear a simple black dress, but you wear kicking earrings, and the emphasis is there. So the same thing, you guys are creating art on your bodies when you do that. So emphasis can also be used in artwork, in photography. So the emphasis in the girl in the field is she's obviously emphasized because she's by herself. She's in the only bit of pop of color. If you guys remember Emily Fentress, her emphasis is on the orange that she put on her eyes in this black and white photo. The emphasis with the orange moonwalker is just the color. And back to that green, those flowers, it's emphasized because it's just the only thing in the picture. Like you're forced for that to be the emphasis. Okay, so now we move on to rhythm and movement can be usually put together as kind of the same. They can be separated, but I'm going to put them to the same. It's the use of reoccurring elements to direct the eye through the image. The way the elements are organized to lead the eye to the focal area. The eye can be directed, for example, along edges by means of shape and color. So in here, you guys see movement, like literal movement. The biker is not really moving, but we can tell he's moving because of the lines in the background that's showing like that blur. We see the movement of the dancer in flight, the movement of the sand. In the photo in the bottom left, the creative way photographers can create movement with light. And then that famous painting of the wave is showing movement of the wave. Now, okay, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. So then now we move on to pattern, is the repeating of an object or symbol all over the work of art. So you will see that there's just patterns. It's a repeated symbol all over. So the patterns of the background with the sheep and the bristles and the cactus itself and the leaves and the brickwork. We also have repetition, where it's not necessarily a perfect pattern, but it's something repeated over and over again. Repetition and pattern are very similar. pattern to make the work of art seem active. The repetition of elements of design create unity with the work of art. So the repeating of the object makes it just kind of work together. Here's a famous picture of the repetition of Marilyn Monroe. You've got just this beautiful, balanced picture of this hallway in a building outside with the repeating pillars to the right. It just makes it attractive and kind of cool. The repeating brickwork and the repeating shadows on the wall with the bushes, and then with the picture with the stained glass windows kind of hallway thing we got going in the upper right, the repeating of the windows. Here's some other repetition, just for kicks and giggles. Then we have proportion. So what I want you to see is artists also use proportion to be creative and funny with their pictures. The proportion of the cactus to the house to the right is like ridiculous. Like, you can capture proportion to be creative, or even to show space. So you can tell that you're much closer to the cactus than you are to the building. With the football player, the football guy in the front looks really big compared to, I believe that's Coach Schoenberg in the back. Oops, that's Mr. Layton blowing his whistle. So obviously the proportion is showing depth, but it's also kind of a visual interest. And then the other two are kind of in a silly way. You've got the fake Matchbox car is the same size as the real car in the background. And then you've got this silly picture of the man being overwhelmed by the chicken. I'm going to skip that one. And sorry about that. I'm skipping that one too. Okay, so then we have variety. Variety is the use of several elements of design to hold the viewer's attention and to guide the viewer's eye through and around the work of art. So when you have a picture where there's lots of variety of color, variety of shapes, variety of textures, or you can have a variety of all kinds of elements. So all these pictures shows variety of whether one element by itself or lots of elements. I'm so sorry I skipped that. Okay, so the next is unity. Unity is the feeling of harmony behind all parts of the work of art, which creates a sense of completeness. So I'm going to go down here, and you'll see that unity occurs when all the elements combine to make a balanced, harmonious, complete whole. Unity can be created by simplicity, only having a limited type of lines, shapes, colors, repetition, which would be repeating similar elements, or proximity. For example, in the image below, there is a unity created by simplicity of the boats, of the rocks, and those shells. So unity is when something works all together and it just looks like a complete whole. There's unity in the texture and color in the Van Gogh picture. There's repeated forms, patterns, and textures create unity in that interesting pencil little thing. And the repeated color and shapes create unity in the blue one. All right? So unity. Now, if we were in class, I would ask you guys to raise your hand and tell me what elements and principles do you see: line, shape, form, color, space, texture, balance, emphasis, movement, pattern, proportion, repetition, unity. There's so many things in this black and white photo, and we would have gone over it. And then what I did was I actually went to the grocery store, and not that we're going to be doing that, but I'm sure you can find things around your house, because you eventually are going to have to be looking for the stuff around your house, just so that you know. But look, in the bananas, there's unity, there's line, there's texture. Same thing in the carts. There's form and line in the clouds and the telephone poles. There's line in the other telephone pole. There's repetition in texture, um, in the candles and the napkins, the package of napkins with the pie on it and the bow. I literally got out of the car when I made this picture to take a when I made this PowerPoint to take a picture of that staircase at the Edward Jones by my house. I thought that was so cool. The zigzag lines and the lines in the window, and it was actually beautiful looking all around me once I kind of was making this PowerPoint, because it's just everywhere. It's like a visual overload with the beautiful things around. And then I went to the florist department, and I found the texture in those really cool flowers and that chameleon with the color, and with the pumpkins that were for sale, and it was just really fun. There's just lots of beautiful things everywhere. But so that's it for now, and thank you for putting up with my experiment with voiceovers, and I hope it works. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love you guys. Bye.